Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our panel this afternoon. We're on career case studies, so you get to hear from even more talented people. So I'm Lindsay Wallace. I have the privilege of moderating this exceptional group of panelists. For my day job, I work for Long & Ecker out in Los Alamos, supporting both the prime contractor, both on the EM and NSA sides. In my career, I've had the good fortune of getting to work with some of these folks. So for our discussion, each speaker will have a few minutes, about 10, to share highlights from their journeys, lessons learned, hopefully some comedic relief. And at the end, we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers, so please be sure to save some to make this a more interactive session. Our panelists represent both government and industry. They're at different phases of their careers, so please feel free to address questions to each or to all of them. And with that, we will start with Tiffany.
Hi, can everyone hear me? No? How about now? Perfect, thank you. Hi, and like Lindsay said, my name is Tiffany Albin, and I work at the Hanford site in Richland, Washington. Just want to take a poll. How many of you in the audience have heard of the Hanford site? Yeah, awesome, that's great. Well, for those of you who do not know the Hanford site, I'll tell you what it is. The Hanford site was established in 1943. It is one of 3 Manhattan Project sites during World War II. Production of plutonium occurred there at the Hanford site from 1944 until 1989 for national defense. So fast forward, today, there are 15 environmental management active cleanup sites. Hanford is the largest cleanup project in the country, with an annual budget of $2.8 billion. And it sits on 580 square miles in Southeast Washington. No, not in Seattle. You would be amazed at how many people think we're in Seattle, but we are about 4 hours away from Seattle. So what is the Hanford mission? Their mission, our mission, because I work there, is to safely, effectively, and efficiently clean up while protecting the workforce, the public, and the environment. That's awesome. And I'm so proud to be a part of it. The Hanford site, the cleanup of the Hanford site is managed by 2 offices, and you will hear this. One is the Richland Operations Office, which I will refer to as RL, and the other one is the Office of River Protection, which I will refer to it as ORP. And if you haven't known by now, there's a lot of acronyms. So about my federal career, it all started back in October of 2008. I joined the Department of Energy's Environmental Management Internship Program. And back then, it was called the Environmental Management Professional Development Corps, EMPDC for short. Now, you may wonder, why did I choose the EMPDC versus all the other internships available? Well, for me, it was the potential job security, the career ladder promotion mobility, upper mobility, which was another potential. And let's face it, we all need help to pay off our student loans. During my internship, and at the time, David Brockman was the RL manager, and I had a one-on-one meeting with him, and I still remember it. He told me, he said, you know, you're in this really good program with detailed opportunities to go to see what other offices are doing. Take advantage of it. Learn what they're doing and why they do what they do. Also, participate in details within our organization. So that means RL and ORP. So guess what? That is exactly what I did. I participated and I completed a 2 months internship at EM in the communications office. That was a great experience. Just learning how the mothership works and getting to network and to meet others. It was a phenomenal experience. And I also performed and completed various details within RL and ORP. These details were valuable, and learning from others in person versus through phone calls and whatnot, and Teams today, and the working relationships that you build, irreplaceable. So one of a recommendation that I have for you, or a tip, is when you go on these details, take them seriously and learn from them and take back what you've learned from your detail experience, especially things that your current office is not doing that you think that you can bring back to your organization and apply it there to make it better or run faster, smoother, efficient. Do it. I would definitely recommend that you do it, because that's why they send you. They want you to go and learn and bring back some of these great ideas. Now, speaking of internships, I'd like to see hands of those of you who are in an internship program out there in the audience. How about early? Okay, awesome, congratulations. How about early career professionals? Excellent, all right, thank you. Like I said, soak it all in. Even if you're not an intern and you're an early career professional, soak it all in. Learn as much as you can. Network, network, network. Seek mentors from leaders that you resonate with or you look up to and you really like their management style. Learn from them and ask for their help. See if they wouldn't mind being your mentor to help you through your journey, your early career journey. With the various details that I've completed and the executive leadership program, those really helped me prepare for the job that I have today. Today and now, I am an executive officer for the Hanford Chief of Staff Office. In April, I will be celebrating 25 years of civil service. Raise your hand if you're excited to come to work. Yes, that's exactly what you want to be, where you want to be at. I am excited to come to work. I love my job. Being a part of the Hanford cleanup mission for future generations, it's awesome. We're doing great things. We're doing the right thing. And I get to work with incredible senior leadership. The senior leadership at the Hanford site, they're dedicated to their mission, and to be able to collaborate with coworkers, smart and talented coworkers across the RL and ORP organization, I can't ask for a better job. So down to the nitty-gritty, and what you really want to hear from me is, what are my career tips? And what are my advice? I have 6 of them for you. The first one is be respectful and be kind. From the janitor to the manager. How you treat others and the lasting impression that you give to those that you cross paths with is very important, because one day you could be reporting to that person. 2, be reliable. Have the reputation of completing projects on time. Be that finisher. Number 3, be resourceful. Get to know your colleagues and what they do across the organization so that one day if you ever need help, you know who to contact. and vice versa. Again, that's part of networking, networking, networking. Number 4 is provide solutions and alternatives. And what do I mean by that? Is don't go to your supervisor and say, boss, we cannot do this. Tell them why you think you cannot do this, but also provide an option or an alternative to go from no to get to yes. They will appreciate that, and you will get noticed for that. It's problem solving, right? 5, don't stop learning. Some of you have just graduated or not too long ago. You're not done learning. Every day is a learning moment. Every day is a teaching moment. But take advantage of what your company has to offer through their training department. Just look at the different skills that you can gain, whether you are an accountant and maybe you want to go into project management or you're interested in it. Take some classes, take advantage of it. Or work with your supervisor. If you notice another team is working on a project that looks interesting and you have the time, work with your supervisor and ask him or her, can I join and help that team with that particular project? That is hands-on training right there. Not only are you learning something new, you're meeting new colleagues and you're networking. And lastly, number 6, people are watching you. They watch how you react, they watch how you respond. How do you handle setbacks or challenges? Will show them how you will handle difficult situations and your character. So I have an example of that. I applied for a job and I didn't get it. Yes, I was devastated, but I wasn't upset. I even welcomed the person that got the job and congratulated her. I went back to the interview panel and I asked them, what were my strengths and what were my weaknesses? What do I need to work on to do better the next time around? And that's what I did. I continued to work, I continued to be positive, be a team player, and guess what? A few years later, I got my perfect job. I am the executive officer for the Hanford Chief of Staff Office. Again, my name is Tiffany Albin. Thank you and good luck to future leaders.
Thank you, Tiffany. Next, we have JJ Chavez from the City of Carlsbad, a council member. Thank you, JJ.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is JJ Chavez. I'm a city councilor. I did the same thing, sorry. Yeah, my name is JJ Chavez. I'm a city councilor for the city of Carlsbad, representing the city, not representing the contractor or anybody. So this is all me. So, let's see. I've been in the system, or I've been in the field almost 8 years already. So I started actually in security. I was a cop. I was a cop for 3 years. Did that for a couple years. Hung out. It was great. Didn't see my family much, so my wife said I had to change the field. As I came from the WHIP site. The WHIP is community's WHIP. WHIP is the community. Basically, everywhere you go, you have somebody that works at WHIP. You know somebody from WHIP, or you have a family member that basically works at WHIP as well. We always had presentations from the WHIP site. Our True Pack trucks were in parades. So it was an everyday thing for us to see WHIP in our community. So for me to go to WHIP, it was just, I'm going to WHIP. It was like, where are you going? Okay, I'm gonna go to WHIP. So I ended up going to the WHIP site. Due to my background, I ended up going to the security force out there. I did that for a little over a year, checking badges, doing that. Due to my background, I went to the next field, went into the radiation field. I was a radiation technician. I got mentored through that program. became a certified radiation technician. Enjoyed that, had a blast doing that for about 3 years. Mentored through that program, and then I went and became a USW safety representative for the site, a safety rep for the surface and underground. That was a fun field. Did that for several years. Through my mentorship, through my supervisors and bosses, they were able to mentor me through different programs. One of my favorite programs at the time was Leadership Academy. We were honored at, I believe, VPP a couple years ago for leadership program. Basically, it's a leadership program where you go and take all these classes on how to become a leader, better understanding your individuals. It was just an awesome program. Not only that, you took other individual classes as well. And anybody could take those classes. You just had to ask your supervisor to want to go take those classes. And if you could schedule your classes, you could go do those classes. So it was awesome. The opportunities are there. You just gotta want to do it. You know, I started as a security guard and I worked my way up. You know, now I am a safety supervisor on the exempt side now, leading a group of guys, and it's one of the best jobs I've ever had. I love it. Like she said, you love going to work every day. I love it. You know, it's part of the career path I taken. You know, the opportunities that I was able to choose and go through the career path, and not only go through the career path, but go through the workforce to get to know the guys, get to know the different careers, the security, the radcon, the union side. The guys taught me a lot to understand what the guys are going through, but not what the guys are going through, but to understand the work as well. So it taught me a lot. So when I became a supervisor, it was easy for me to understand what they were going through. And not only that, but through the classes I took, which the supervisors allowed me to take, and the mentorships allowed it to bring it all together. So that was a great career path and helped me to become a leader for my department and for the site. So, which allowed me to become a leader for the city as a city councilor for the city of Carlsbad, which allowed us to develop programs as well. So, which allowed us to develop certain facilities. Our Southeastern New Mexico College, which we're coming up with a development program to bring in rad contacts, welding programs, the workforce. So you guys can get your certain degrees, certificates, not only work at the facility, but you can also want to work at different mining sites there we have as well, or welding, or you just want to go work in a welding field there as well. Not only, you know, the oil patch we have there as well, but also different mine sites we have there in Carlsbad as well, or WIP. You're welcome to go attend and go there as well. So that's perspective as to how I became involved in the nuclear industry. So it's pretty exciting. I was developed, and it was an awesome way how I became developed in the nuclear industry. And it was all because, you know, me being in high school and middle school, the individuals coming to my class and presenting, you know, assault rock, saying this came down from 2,150 feet underground, and this is what we take out to in-place waste, and this is where the waste goes. It was intriguing to learn all the different aspects of that, and I remembered all that. Brought me back into the field 10 years later, so it circled around to me, so I was pretty excited. So thank you.
Next, we have Greg Meyer, Senior Vice President at Floor Government Group.
Thank you, Lindsay. So it's my pleasure to be here today, and I think it's interesting as I look at the panel, and Lindsay said share the highlights of your journey. I don't know if I have the most highlights, but I clearly have the longest journey. So what I want to do is kind of hit on a few things that I've seen as I've gone along. And one of them is, as you start this, you ought to know what business you're in. And so people say, oh, I'm in the nuclear waste cleanup business, or just one or the other. I'm in the waste business, the nuke business, and the cleanup business. All those are sort of truth, half-truths, if you will. We're in the people business. That's what it's all about. It's all about the people, because without the people, we don't get the job done. Without the people, we don't actually get the workers, the people that are down there enjoying their jobs, hopefully, but getting all the work done and everything else. So at the end of the day, it's important to remember that, is that you're in the people business. And that doesn't fit everybody. It fits a lot of people, but not everybody. My daughter's a good example. My daughter is a cop, and she's a crime scene detective, loves her job, the forensic CSI kind of stuff you see on television. That's exactly what she does. She has refused to take the sergeant's exam because in Arlington County Police Department, which is where we are right now, a sergeant is a supervisor, which means she goes back on the road, which she had a good time on the road, but then she's a supervisor, and she says, I don't want to manage people. I like doing what I'm doing. And so, you have to find out what's the right thing. What are you comfortable with? Where do you want to go and fit in that? But it also means, what do you take a look at is in your experiences, how do you develop and find out what that right thing is for you? And so what I would encourage you all is to accept challenges as they come. You're going to get a number of them in your careers. That's a good thing. And you're not going to always be successful. And that's also okay. And, bottom line is, and this is number 2, it's okay to fail. 2A, don't make a habit of it. But it's okay to fail, because your managers occasionally are going to put you in a spot that's a challenge, and said, and the reason it's a challenge is it's hard. We need to get there as an organization. They're putting you in there because you're one of the people that's going to be the best shot to get there. And that manager most likely will do everything that he or she can to make you successful. That's not a guarantee. And so what happens is, like anything else, as you explore, you learn, you have to communicate. Again, you're in the people business. People do better when they know what's going on. So you have to communicate up and down to your team so that you're leading them in the right direction, up to your bosses so that you give them the right status. And when things aren't going well, you share that in both directions. And so it's, again, the team needs to be focused and needs the realism that goes with it. And that's a good thing. And then when the boss sees that maybe you're going, that's a chance for the boss to give you a course correction if you might need it, or to recognize that maybe there's a bigger problem that no one has anticipated. So make sure, again, you're in the people business, you're communicating, and you're getting some experience, and you're taking some risk. All of those are good things. And you need to be comfortable with that risk. Not everybody is, but that's one of the things as you go along, you find out more and more as you explore yourself. Where are your comfort levels? What are you good at? And again, don't just stay in that comfort zone. Push yourself, challenge yourself. The companies have got good programs to develop. I mean, we just heard Ken with a really good summary of what he does at his site and what he does with his company. My company's different. We've got a different type of program, but any good company will be smart. A good company will try to develop their people. So take advantage of those. Sign up for a few things. Sign up for a few things that you don't know about to explore it. Sign up for a few things that maybe you're not sure if you're going to like because you need to know about it. So in my case, I've had 2 careers actually. So I was a sailor for 20 plus years in the submarine business and served on 5 different submarines. And my last job was at an international assignment in Geneva, Switzerland for 3 years on a diplomatic assignment. I wasn't sure that I was going to be like being a diplomat. I was used to, the hardcore submarining. Being nice to people wasn't high on my list. And so being the diplomat where you have to be polite and talk was just very different for me. And in fact, at one point I told the ambassador that I was working for, I said, I don't know how you've done this for 24 years. I said, I'm not going to last 24 months because some of the positions and the stuff that you hear was just outrageous. Again, you learn to develop patience, you learn to develop tolerance, you need to understand what the other people are coming from, and at the end of the day, what's their true objective, because in that business, it's not always obvious. Those are good things to develop in all of your careers. So becoming a jack of all trades, having a lot of different jobs actually will help you. I've been a nuke ops project manager. I've been a safety and security manager. I've been a MC, material controls and accountability guy, a ESH person, a certified safety professional. So I've done everything on both the functional side and the operational side. So when I became a site manager and ran the Pantex plant, actually, I thought I was pretty well prepared. I could not know everything, but I knew what questions to ask. I knew when to drill down, and I knew when we had to push on things. And so, I call myself a jack of all trades and a master of none. And I think actually that's helped me. And so I would encourage you to explore it. Again, this may not be for you. These are just topics to think about. You may find one of those you really want to focus on. That's just go ahead and do it. Or you may find that I'm off to the next one. And that means being flexible, taking different assignments, maybe a move, maybe you switch companies. I think in 12, 14 years at 4 DOE sites, I worked for 6 different companies. And they were all LLCs, and they were owned by various companies that are the big tier 1 contractors in our business. So I can say that I've pretty much worked for every tier 1 contractor that does work and support EM in the cleanup and the closure business. And they're all good. They all have, some shining stars. They also have some dark doors. You just have to be careful as you walk, and you figure that out. At the end of the day, it's all about the people that you work with. And so I know I've said that for like the 15th time. There's a reason. I'm intentionally saying it. You'll hear it probably, I'll get to 20 before it's all over. We talked about taking risks, the jack of all trades. The last thing, a couple of things that I would say is, don't be afraid to speak up. There are a lot of people that are going to be very quiet. Don't take risks, don't stick your head up, it might get chopped off. And those are all, maybe that works, maybe that doesn't. My personal view is if you don't speak up, people don't know who you are, then they don't know what you stand for, and they don't know your capabilities and your qualifications and how that comes across. So you need to speak up, have a voice, make sure you're heard. You don't need to speak up all the time, pick and choose your times, but don't be just a wallflower and blend into the background all the time. Because if you don't do that, again, you're going to be unknown, and eventually, you hope that the cream rises to the top, but you'll find out that you'll get the better jobs, the right assignments, and people will look at you differently when they know that you are thinking and you have an opinion and you're willing to offer it. And as all of us know in the senior leader role is, going to the table and having a fresh voice is sometimes something pops up that either we didn't think about it, we forgot about it, or we just didn't give it enough credit. And it takes reminders for all the bosses, all the executives that, this is, again, there's a wide variety of views out there. Diversity, as I said, is much more than just race or gender or religion. It's experiences, it's life experiences. Some people have more than others. But again, if you don't communicate those, then that's what the team needs to hear. Whether it goes up or down is up to you, but it's important to take all that. And probably the very last thing as I wrap up is to say, be yourself. It's important as you go through this, you're uncomfortable with who you are. And that, again, it may be, I'm in this job, I like it. I'm in this job, I don't like it. But be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be the mold that they're going to, pound you into every once in a while. Because at the end of the day, when the pressure's on, you will revert back to being yourself. And so that should not be a surprise to you, to your boss, or your team when that happens, is just be yourself, let everybody know it. The team will be much more comfortable with you if they know who they're working for. Your boss will be much more comfortable if they know who's working for them. And as I said, you will be more comfortable yourself because you're not under the stress of trying to be somebody that you're not. And I could see that very obviously in my first career in the Navy as a submarine business. There were certain people that think, a submarine commanding officer, this is the persona I need to portray. And when push comes to shove, you just revert back to being who you are. So if you start that early on, that takes a lot of the stress away and you get much more comfortable and everyone will know who you are. And so if your company has a high potential list, the wild list, the training list, whatever it might be, you're more likely to find yourself on that list. If you speak up, let them know who you are, and everything else works for you. So with that, I think I've got 22 seconds left. I'll wrap up for right now. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Jenny Stoltz, the Deputy Project Manager for CPC Co. at Hanford.
All right, thanks. Very excited to be here, very excited to have this great collaboration between the young professionals and the interns, and then a lot other senior leaders in the room for wisdom. One of my passions that I share with Mr. Reuter is professional development and really trying to foster this next generation workforce in EM and DOE across the enterprise. So glad to have this conversation. Thanks to Longenecker for sponsoring, by the way. So myself, I've actually been pretty much in the DOE business for a time, 97. I started as an intern for you interns in 94. Like Greg, I've had a wide variety of roles. I've been everything from a laboratory technician to a chief compliance officer to a field project remediation lead to over canyon facilities to a business development director for Amentum to my current role. And like I don't think I expected to get any of them, I will tell you. So like a lot of you guys, I had the opportunity because I did take chances, like Greg talked about. I said yes to a lot of roles. And I think that's one of my first messages is don't be afraid to do a role that you're not sure even what it is. Don't be afraid to take a risk when someone sees something in you. Don't be doubting yourself, but instead ask them, why do you see this in me? Why do you think this role is great for me? What do I get out of it? Start asking those questions. Be curious about your career and where you can go. A lot of us don't take the time. We start getting in our heads exactly what we think we're going to do, or as Greg talked about, self-doubt. But really go from a period of a position of what do I want? Start asking those questions throughout your career. One of the best things you can do is find good people, good mentors around you to ask those questions with and have those conversations. And I do want to say my best mentors were not necessarily the ones above me or even parallel to me. Some of them were a position under me. I learned the most as a remedial project manager from my superintendent. He, no joke, schooled me every single day and taught me, I bet, 50% of what I know. How to engage with the workforce, how to present myself better, how to deal with adversity, how to have hard conversations. So think of mentorship not just going above you, but all around you. And so one of the things in your career to really do is constantly find those next people that are in roles that aren't necessarily your role, but can teach you something or see another perspective. One of the best things you can always do is surround yourselves with people of different perspectives, different backgrounds, different places in your career. So that is one thing that I've done a lot in my career, and I think it's really opened some doors for me and taught me and pushed me into things I never expected to get into. I am passionate about the EM cleanup industry. I love having conversations about it. I am a longtime Tri-Cities Hanford resident. I have worked off the site, but I am passionate about cleaning up sites, and I'm passionate about the new missions in DOE, including the really important NNSA mission. I think it's a huge responsibility we have. It's a very noble mission, and I take great pride that I'm part of it. And I hope that each one of you, especially if you're early in your career, find some part of this mission that you feel passionate about too. I remember hearing about Hanford back when you couldn't even really talk about it when I was a young person, and now working on it and really making a difference and delivering significant cleanup priorities for our customer really is one thing that inspires me. One of the main contributors, I think, to success has being open to really hard conversations. So I talked about mentorship, but as a leader, but also starting out my career, I asked for hard feedback. It's not easy to do, and it's something that takes practice, but I encourage all of you, especially young in your careers, to start getting in the habit of every year, don't just treat your annual performance thing as just something else you got to check off or be nervous about. develop your questions, prepare for it, come to the table and show that you're ready to really take yourself to the next level. That is something you can do. You can own it. As Greg talked about, presenting yourself in that way just shows you're serious about how you get to that next step. And I will tell you, people that do that with me are the ones that stand out. They are the ones saying, hey, I've been doing this role for a year. Here's what I've accomplished. Here's what I want to get to. How do I do it? And so I think that's a really big thing that all of us can do at any level, at any role. So think about that as something you can put into in the next, especially if you like us going into performance cycles. Biggest advice I can give all of you, I guess, from my perspective, be open to any role, any opportunity that you're given, but that doesn't mean you have to say yes to all of them. Also, there may be a role that you really want to get and you may not get it. That happened to me. I had 2 different roles I can think of in my career that I sought after, and I said, this is it. This is the next role I want. And 2 of them I didn't get. But within 12 months, I got an even better role. So there is something to a little bit to fate, but you can make your own fate. But be open to listening for new opportunities. When you get that call from Ken or a different leadership class that you're offered and you hear, hey, we think you're great for this, sign up for it, say yes. Just, right on the spot, say yes. Take those opportunities. We have 2 of our younger professionals here with us, and we offer the opportunity to come to this, and right away, enthusiastic, yes, I'd like to come. And that's really what you need to do. Take those opportunities, but if there is something offered to you that isn't right for you, don't be afraid to say your concerns and talk through it. You may not be seeing something that your leader sees in you. So that is always a good thing. And I got offered multiple roles, probably some of the roles that I ended up really standing out from, and I didn't think I could do them. I said, I don't think I can do that. I'm not qualified. And they said, yep, you are, you can do it. Somebody saw that in me. I fully admit it. The first time, I was 29 years old when I got my first PM job, and it was this giant soil remediation dig, and I knew nothing about leading crews. I knew nothing about that type of work, but I did know the regulatory side, and I did know the relationship side, and I did know a lot of the people working on the project, and that's what I used to be successful. But it isn't always easy to take and do that leap, and I do realize that, but I really encourage all of you to do that. And as I said, I really want to reemphasize, people, I'd really want to emphasize mentorship and leaders around you. Have good leaders around you, find some mentors, find people to talk to about your career. I think there are so many exciting career paths you can take in this industry that there isn't just one path for you, there's a lot. And so seek the opportunities, find the thing that you're passionate about, because you will stand out when you're passionate about what you do every day. So with that, thanks you all.
Great, thanks, Jenny. Next, we have Anna Summers from UCOR, please.
So I almost feel like I need to be in the audience with all this experience up here, but I want to share my story on starting out in this industry for you all. I'm Anna Summers. I'm a chemical operator for UCOR at Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And I work in LGWO, which is liquid and gaseous waste operations. And what we do in LGWO is we collect and treat liquid and gaseous waste streams that are produced in different operations throughout the laboratory. I've been with UCOR for 4 years now. I started in 2019 as an apprentice and became a qualified chemical operator in 2020. So a little background on how I got into this industry. When I was in high school and in my first year of college, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was taking general studies classes, trying to figure out what I wanted for a career. And while I was taking classes there, they started a new program, a chemical engineering technology program. And how it got started was there were several employers in my area, one of which was UCOR, that were in need of chemical operators. I'd never heard of a chemical operator before, so I started doing some research on what they do and where they work to see if it would be something that I would want to pursue. So when I was doing this research, I found that for my area, a lot of chemical operators worked in Oak Ridge. And the history of Oak Ridge has always been really interesting to me, so the possibility of working there one day was really exciting. I decided to take a shot and try the classes out, and I really enjoyed them, so I continued through the program. Within my first year of taking these classes, UCOR's Labor Relations came to class to talk to us about a new apprenticeship program they were starting for chemical operators. So I was really excited about the opportunity. I applied and I got a position. When I first started at ORNL as an apprentice, it was a big change from my previous job. I'd been working at the library as part of the work study program. So going from college library to DOE site, it was a little intimidating and a little overwhelming at first, but I'm meeting new people, and these people have jobs that I've never even heard before. So I'm learning what they do and how that applies to me as a chemical operator, and how we're all working together in this industry, whether you realize it or not. And I'm learning about our processes and our facilities within LGWO, what they do and how they work, and how I'm going to be operating them. And every time there's an upgrade or some kind of change to these processes, I get to learn it all over again. And that's one thing that I really like about being a chemical operator in this industry, is everything's always changing and there's always something new to learn. So with this being an early career profession seminar, I'm going to try to share some advice to those of you who are just starting out in this industry, because I'm kind of in the same position too. Me being in my position for less than 5 years, I've already had some coworkers retire, and I work with more who are nearing the end of their career. So these are the individuals that we need to be looking to train under, asking all kinds of questions that we can think of too, and learn all we can from them while we can, because later on, we're going to be those coworkers who have been in the industry for a long time, and we're going to have to pass down all of our knowledge to the next group that comes in. I'm starting to experience this a little bit now. As the apprenticeship program grows, more apprentices are coming in, and I'm getting to help train them and help them out in the beginnings of their careers. So being a part of this industry, it's been really rewarding. It's full of all kinds of opportunities. There's all kinds of different jobs. I've been able to come out here and speak to you all today. I've been a part of some really crucial and lasting upgrades to our systems within LGWO. And for me, at least, I think it's kind of cool to think that later on in my career, I can be at work and I can drive by a building, or I can be operating a process and be able to think back to the day when that process was put online, or be working on a process and remember when that was being a project that was being worked on and I got to help out on it. It makes me feel like I'm contributing to history almost. So with all of that being said, don't be afraid to try new things. That's the entire reason why I'm here today, and it really pays off. So I continue building upon what I've learned so far and can't wait to see what else this industry has in store for all of us. Thank you.
Thanks, Anna. And last but not least, we have Jennifer Volbrecht, the president and CEO of Volbrecht Consulting.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Volbrecht. I'm the owner of J. Volbrecht Consulting. My small business supports Department of Energy and EM with project management and project control services. The company is about 5 years old, and I've been in the energy industry for about 10 years. Before that, I was in the Department of Defense as a United States Marine Corps helicopter crew chief and door gunner, and then I was a defense contractor. So like many of my fellow panelists, I didn't set out to be here today in this industry or even on this stage. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and in a lot of ways, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But I know that I'm in the right place today at the right time. There's a quote that I think is attributed to Ronald Reagan that says, Most people spend their entire life not knowing if they made a difference in the world, but the Marines don't have that problem. And that quote resonated really well with me at a very young age. So very early in my career, from performing humanitarian missions, transporting wounded soldiers to hospitals, and then eventually building and deploying aircraft that would deploy in wartime, I always saw how my role was directly impacted to the mission. I had a really short-lived career transition to a commercial retail-based corporation. And I realized very quickly that I didn't belong there. I didn't care about their bottom line. I didn't care about their mission, and I had to go. We were working way too hard for way too little. So during that time, I sought out a mentor. And I met a mentor who was a CEO. He was a fellow veteran, Vietnam veteran door gunner, and we connected over our veteran status. He encouraged me to find a career that would align with making my community a better place and knowing how I fit in that world. It took me several years to figure out that that path was going to lead to entrepreneurship. And then it took me several more years after that to finally be brave enough to take the leap and start my own company. But I'm really grateful to be here. The thing that I love most, I think, about working in the Department of Energy and EM are the people and the projects in that order. I continue to be humbled by the experiences of my colleagues, and I love spending time networking at events like this, or even doing on-site reviews and on-site meetings, because the people are top-notch. Some of my favorite memories are sitting in conference rooms just laughing hysterically with my colleagues, because they just have really great experiences. We also get to work on great projects like abatement projects that will lead to building groundbreaking new laboratory facilities, being able to participate in scientific discoveries, and knowing that our project teams played a small part in those history-making projects. It really means a lot to me. So during my career, I did face a lot of challenges. Getting out of the Marine Corps, I know that when I got out, there's a big mismatch between what I was used to, my daily responsibilities, making life and death decisions for people on a daily basis, and then what I was qualified to do in the workforce. So I was qualified as an engineer level 1, and I was barely given any responsibilities right off the bat. So I had to reconcile that, and at the same time, I was starting a family. And so I had my young children, and that lifestyle was very difficult. I was thriving in my career. I loved my job. I loved the projects, but we were, 6 a.m. daycare drop off. I would work all day. I would pick my kids up at 6 p.m., dinner, bath time, bedtime, repeat. And there was no margin for error. There was no flexibility. And so I knew that I needed some kind of lifestyle change. I needed something different if I wanted to be fulfilled in my career and also be fulfilled with my family. My children would proudly say, "My mommy works at the WAB." And they didn't know what that meant, but they knew that I was proud of my work. And that was really important to me. So fast forward, I finally, decided that I was brave enough to start my company. And I don't have any less challenges. Today I'm a small business owner. I'm the head of personnel relations, client relations, business development, back office, front office, you name it. And so there's no end to the number of challenges. I fail every day. I try to fail in different areas and not make the same mistakes twice, at least not 3 times. So continue to fail forward. That's something that I call my growth mindset, is not looking at those challenges as setbacks, but rather opportunities to grow. I think that throughout my career, the themes are, work ethic, tireless and relentless work ethic, discipline that I got from the Marine Corps, and then a focus on relationships. If I were to give advice to a young career professional, it would be to really focus on your personal mission. What's your why? and then make sure that at all costs that your career aligns with that why. Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer. All right, we'll open it up for questions, but anyone want to be first? All right, well, I will ask one. Oh, Christine.
Anybody can answer. How long did you stay in your worst job, your worst position?
Can we go down the row? Start, Tiffany?
How long, I assume that in your long career, if you had a position that wasn't great, how long did you stay in your worst position? Maybe not him, because you work for you for and all things are great.
I can go. So I had a supervisor, and I didn't know that this was my worst job. So I was in that job for about a year and then got this new supervisor. And I was applying for a role on a big project, and he said, I'm not going to give you that role because you have small children at home. You're not going to be able to devote the time to the project. And that wasn't a reflection on my work, but it was rather how he saw me. And so I had a new boss 3 weeks later.
All right. I think, it's funny, your worst role, your worst job is, sometimes those come kind of gradual. Things start, right? And you think, oh, it's not good. Has anybody else experienced that? I think a lot of us have, right? Where, but I will say, I think the next day after I realized that gradual had gone down, so I probably was in the job about a year and a half, but that next day after I realized, I picked up phone calls and started and was in a new position in the company pretty quick. So, but I think it's because I reflected back and realized this wasn't just a bad day or a bad week or a bad month. This was actually, where I didn't feel successful. So I think if you really make that decision, you need to act on it, to your point.
Christy, my answer would be a little different. So most of my jobs, until I joined Flora, I think all my jobs were less than 3 years, most of them 2. And I think I only ever had one job that went more than 4 until it didn't go 4 actually until this job. But I would tell you that even in some of the worst jobs, especially, and I was in the Navy, you didn't really have the option. And so this is, and as one of my CEOs explained to me, you wear a blue suit, you got a green ID card, or that's why they call them orders. So, but even when I had a bad job, which is to say it wasn't my favorite job, or I had a CO that was a bad CO, which is to say he was a tough and not my favorite CO, you can learn a lot in a bad job. You can learn a lot from a bad leader. And everybody says negative learning experiences are just painful. Well, they are, but they're also very effective. And so even the bad jobs, it's like anything else. You make the best you can, you do your best job on it, and things work out one way or the other. But I had a lot of assignments that were not my first choice, just kind of like Jenny said earlier. And at the end of the day, most of them all worked out just fine.
Yeah, I really didn't have bad jobs. I think I had challenging jobs. I say about a year and a half. I learned a lot through them. Taught me a lot, learned a lot of friends. So about a year and a half, probably. I took a lot away from it, so thanks.
Well, I can't really say I've had a bad job. Working at the community college was really nice. I really enjoyed that, and now I work for UCOR, and I really enjoy that too. So don't really have an answer for that one.
Making sure it's on. I was working in a position that I thought was my worst job, and it was because my manager sent me to do everything public involvement. So whether it's speaking to the aircraft carrier and welcoming them home, going to meetings for him, I thought it was the worst job because I was like, I'm doing his job. But you know what? It was the best job. He empowered me. I got to do so much at such a young age. We're talking in my low 20s, that he kind of set me up for this path that I'm on right now. And so, you know, when you think you're in a bad job or you think it's your worst job, flip it around. Make it that positive, make it that half full glass, and think of the experience that you're gaining because you're doing that for for your boss, and think of what you're learning from it. So I don't have the worst job. I've been really blessed and very thankful for all of the supervisors and the leaders that I've had thus far. Thank you.
What does it look like to be the best version of yourself?
Who wants to take this?
Looks like this. And the reason I say that is to get back what I said earlier, just be yourself. If you be yourself from day one till the end, is then the best version, the worst version, it still looks like this. And so I think that's really what it comes down to. You know, it's comfortable if you're, as they say, comfortable in your own skin. You know who you are, you know what you're good at, you know what you're not so good at. And part of that includes, you know, when to ask for help. That's important. And so when to ask for advice. But I think that's really what it boils down to, is just being comfortable with yourself, and then good or bad version, worst or best version, that's kind of up to you.
Common theme I heard from a lot of the panel is big flexibility when you make priorities. How do you reconcile that against kind of more of an interview culture where that type of flexibility and willingness to adapt is viewed negatively?
Jenny?
I think I'll take a stab at it. So part of carving out, you know, the lifestyle and the flexibility that works for you is building your personal brand, right? And also goes along with your resume. So your experiences, your qualifications, and then finding the exact right fit that fits your skill set, and then you're able to, you know, really sell yourself on how, you know, this position on your terms is what's going to work best for you and for whoever you're wanting to work for.
You know, the other thing, at least I've gotten some feedback sometimes in looking for jobs is, oh, you jumped around and did a bunch of different roles, to Greg's point. I did a lot of different roles, most of which senior leaders asked me to take on, and I consider them definitely. But that can sometimes appear. But what I've encouraged people to do with that is, I like change. I actually embrace new roles. I find a passion in trying to do something new, take on something new. So I'm not afraid to do new roles. If that is what really drives you to perform even better, do that. Don't be afraid that then someone might say, oh, you jumped here, or you jumped here. I wouldn't be afraid of that. Obviously not every 2 months, but I wouldn't be afraid of it, because I think if that is what drives you, you will shine at those roles, and it will work, and you will eventually get, you'll just keep finding, and someone will look at you and say, wow, that diversity is a benefit to this job. Like Greg said, he didn't do every job that he needed to do to lead Pantex, but because he did enough different diverse roles, he knew enough to put it together. So similar to my job right now, I haven't done every role in CPC-Co, but I've done a bunch of different ones, and I know a lot about relationships. So, but I also think if you're a person, and I just got this from someone who asked me to give them some career advice, is they like being in engineering, in engineering. They like to be in engineering management. They were asking me, should I go into operations? Should I do this? Should I do that? And I said, what do you like? Engineering. I said, well, why don't we try and find you an operations role that's more engineering focused? You know, why you put those two together and not choose one or the other? So, but I was very impressed that he was true to himself on what he really, really enjoyed doing. So I think there's a balance there either way.
Jake Renee, this is for Jenny. I really like your discussion on taking chances and maybe going to a role that you don't know. I was actually part of this maritime operations group for HI. I recently took a promotion to be in business development. I had no idea what was going on. I actually really love it. What would your advice be to someone that is not necessarily scared to take the next role, but they're scared that the next role will lead to something negative. So they take on the next role and it's not what they expected. What do they do now?
So great question. Take on the role, not exactly what you expected, right? So first off, I think my advice always is did you network and find people to support you in the new role? You know,
Absolutely,
yeah.
So, sorry, last question. This situation worked out great for me.
Yeah.
Just looking out for
Yeah.
people that are really now ready to take the step that I did, and maybe you're kind of tentative saying like, okay, maybe I'm not so sure what this thing.
Yeah, so that would be something I'd always set people. One of the things I've said twice in the last week, I said it to Christine just a little while ago, is stretch assignments by definition, taking a stretch assignment, giving someone a stretch assignment means sometimes it's not going to work out. And we as leaders, we as people, early career professionals need to accept that. Taking risks, taking whatever, sometimes a year into it, you're going to go, So what I think you should always do is reach out, first of all, maybe to someone you very much trust, doesn't need to be a leader, someone, and gain their perspective, because you may not be seeing how much you've progressed as much as others. So that's one thing. I think finding your support group. But I also don't think it's a bad thing at all, taking the risk if you give it some time, if it's not working out, to go and find again, like I was just telling to the person I was conversing with last week, find a way to mirror back into your old role if that's what you end up doing. I think sometimes we always think every stretch assignment, every challenge is going to just absolutely work out because a person's fantastic, and it just doesn't always. And so I think having those other plans, but I can't emphasize enough to have some trusted, we call it trusted board of directors. In one leadership class I had, trusted confidant, former person that you worked with that can help see that side of you that you don't necessarily see. So think through that as you develop your own board of managers, trustees, and Greg's on my board. So, he's a great person that I could call too, to ask those hard questions about my performance, so.
I'd also add one thing. If you get into a job that it's not what you expected, well, the real question is, one, what did you expect? And two, why is it different? Is it something you can control, or is it something totally beyond your control? If it's beyond your control, then you're going to have to change your expectations, quite frankly. You mean this, okay, this is a job, it's not what I thought it was, it's different. What do I do to be successful in the different job that I'm now in? And it won't last forever. If it's not what you expected, but you can change it, then Jenny's advice is spot on. The support group, the mentoring, the advice, that includes going to your boss to maybe redefine the expectations and have those discussions as well. So it's there's both sides. And one of the things that you always tell people is don't spend a lot of time worrying about things you can't control. And so, if you're on the receiving end, you can't control what happens, you can control your reaction to what happens. And that's where you need to maybe focus, but you don't know until you get there sometimes.
I just say I appreciated listening to every one of your stories. I learned something from every one of you, and I really enjoyed it. This is specifically for Anna. I just want to say I am so impressed by you, and I can hear the ambition and just the excitement in your voice. And I just want to ask you, what is your dream job? At this age, I'm assuming you're in your 20s. Well, what's your dream job? I remember being in my 20s. When you say this is my dream job, but I feel like it's my dream job now. So, do you have any idea, like, what would be your dream job?
I honestly don't know what my dream job would be. There's a lot of opportunities. I could go so many different ways. So it's kind of just starting to explore all of my options. I wasn't planning on being a chemical operator, so I'm still figuring that one out and learning as I go. So gain my confidence here, and then I'll see where that will lead me next. But as of right now, I'm not really sure.
Other questions?
Thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your stories today. I have one question. I was wondering if you can give some tips or recommendations on how you introduce yourself outside of the comfort zone, especially now.
I think Jennifer, she grabbed it first.
I was just going to say, so there's lots of things that I do. I get bored if I'm, not growing, right? So reading books, podcasts, networking. I like to join affinity groups, so groups of other veterans, or in my case, groups of women business owners, people who are like-minded, and then we can share our challenges, share our triumphs, and kind of grow in that way. Hey, are you struggling with this thing that I'm struggling with? And they're like, no, you're weird. Then you know that doesn't, that's not an issue that everyone else is dealing with, but usually they are struggling with that. And so you can connect, so connecting with people, and then, education and professional development.
One of the other advices I give a lot of people, and I've mentored this for people, is always look around for the item that seems to just be getting dropped, that no one is taking up. So one of the hallmarks I got of how I actually got my first PM job is I started noticing in scheduled meetings that this big project kept slipping to the right, and I kept hearing, oh, we don't think we're gonna make it, so we're just sort of, we're kind of carrying this one. And I finally said, after like 2 months of this, I was like, I'll take it. Nobody else is, doing it. And ended up being successful on the project. It was a lot of work. I find personally a lot of satisfaction. It's something I've coached a ton of people earlier in their career to do. If you are kind of in your zone, go ahead and look around. What isn't getting done? There's always something in a job that isn't getting done. And you will, sometimes people all of a sudden go, wow, they accomplished that. That's great. They're an up-and-comer. So take a look at that and see if that helps push you into an uncomfort zone. Find something that is just, kind of lolling out in the distance that you see needs to get done. Go to your manager and say, I'm willing to take this on, and see if that just sort of pushes you, and start little like that.
So, I know I'm sure a lot of people that are really early in the career experience this too. So I found the place that I love, the company I love, the people I love, right? What advice do you have for people that know they're where they want to be, but don't exactly know what they want within that kind of place that they're at? They know what they want within that kind of place that they're at.
So my first advice would be to enjoy the moment. Because it's like anything else, everything changes eventually, and it doesn't last. And so it's, the group will change, the individual members of the group change, the task or the mission changes. And so just enjoy the moment. At the same time, start looking for those other things. Like Jenny said, what else is not getting done? What other opportunities? Or start watching, just open your aperture a little bit wider, and just don't focus on whatever your group might be in the situation. What are you contributing to the big picture? Where in the big picture, is this a good fit, not a good fit? Is the weak spot here? I think we could do better. So just as you are very comfortable where you are, you start looking, well, what's next? Because this isn't going to last forever. And so what can I do to either help it last longer, which would be a good thing, or if it doesn't last and the group gets disbanded, the project finishes, what's the next spot that I can say, here's everything I've learned from this, I could apply it here, and you might start some of those things early.
Good afternoon. Question for you all, and any of the panelists may answer this question. Carla Harris talks about two types of currency that people must have: performative currency and social currency. And so I think that you all have really talked to us today about the performative currency. So if you all can expand on the social currencies, right? The social currency being the currencies you need to create networks and or for people to know you. If you all expound on your personal experiences in terms of your networks turning into your network.
Okay, I'll go. All right, for me, well, I worked with the guys, so what I call the guys, the workforce. So my social social network was with the guys, the workforce. So I started out as a safety representative in my field, or say as I Radcon security, Radcon safety. So in the safety side, I got to basically go to all the different fields. So I got to interact with Radcon, different mine ops, different industries within the site. So I got to know all the different fields at a particular site. So I got to know the social side of the way the facility was operating or working. So you get to know the ins and outs of the people and the vibe. So once you understand the people, you can know what kind of work is going to be done, or understand what's happening or what's going on. So once you understand the people, you can understand more or less the career or the work for. They'll explain and help you understand what they're doing and how they're going to do it, and help you understand, give you an understanding on what the basics are for that job. And you can just go on and expand, and they'll help you expand your network, social network, and you can just expand it, and you can see if you like that job or career, and you can just go on and socially just move on. Not only that, you gain their trust, and you gain them as a friend as well. So you can expanding, but also not only that, just by talking to individuals and talking to the workforce, you can expand your social network.
I want to add on to that. You jogged my memory. There's a book, it's by Reid Hoffman, called The Startup of You. And it's a really good book. There's a chapter in there called, or it's about courting serendipity. And what it's about is being in the right time at the right place. I used to tell my interns, I want you to, invite someone to coffee every morning. You're only here for, 8 weeks. So have coffee with someone new every morning, and don't eat lunch alone. And so part of that is getting out there and being social and making sure you're in the room when good things are happening.
One thing that hasn't come up in this panel, but it kind of touches on what you do, and that is giving back and finding some charitable type of situation, whatever that be. I have built tremendous networks from participating in multiple of those things. So some of my most favorite leaders in our community are not someone I met at work. They're someone I met through another opportunity like that. So find some type of organization, cause, whatever you think that you have some passion about, because again, I go back to, if you have passion about it, you'll excel. Find something and try that as well, in addition to add on to your career early. I think you'll find not only it'll give you a lot of mental reward, that sometimes on those hard days at work might kind of counter those hard days, but also would help with some of the aspects you talk about. So it hadn't come up in the panel, so I thought I would throw that out there as well.
Yes.
So all of you have not only participated in terms of receiving a mentorship type process where you looked up to someone, they have helped you, perhaps give you information so that you can advance your career. But now I'm hearing that you also are kind of doing that yourself, right? So what pieces of information would you say for a person wanting a mentor, what they should look for in terms of attributes, kind of the positive attributes of a good mentor, but also maybe give us an example of maybe an area of improvement maybe that you witnessed in your careers in terms of a mentor.
So I'll start this one because I actually got asked this a couple times on some panels. So my best advice for mentors is picture yourself and then picture someone on the total opposite working spectrum than you. So if you're an introvert, picture an extrovert. If you are someone who is very direct in communication, pick someone that is got a different communication style. My best mentors, the people I have learned and grown the most under, were never official mentors of mine. They were people that taught me a different style of working, a different way to communicate, a different way to approach a project, a different way to think about a problem. So if you are younger in your career, we always gravitate to people we're just super comfortable with. It's just always easy. You have your friends, whatever. Try and challenge yourself to find someone that's not like you to be around. They will help you get better. They will teach you to see a way that might be more effective in your current challenge. So that's kind of some of my advice when I tell people, and to be honest, I've had people come and ask me to help mentor them, and I've said, you're too much like me. Here's someone else. I'm gonna pass you over to somebody else that's got a different background, because you got a background a lot like mine, or you're a lot like my personality. So not always answering all of your question, but I do want to throw that out there for people to really think through.
So I'll give you a good example of where just an informal mentoring comment from not an officially signed mentor helped me a lot. So when I first got to Pantex, I was a deputy. When I took over as the president GM, about the same exact time, the federal site manager changed out. And he and I had known each other for the first couple of years. And there's some psychology graph, it's the old XY thing, and how you communicate. And we were both like right next to each other. And in normal, so it was real easy to talk to this individual and back and forth. And so we had a good working relationship, and that all went fine. When we would have what we finally referred to as operational upsets, and something had happened, is he went way over this way along the x-axis, I went way down on the y-axis. And so he needed constant communications and reports and input of what's going on. And I was just the opposite. First report's always wrong. I'm not talking until I know what's going on. And then when I have a plan, I'll communicate it up. And so that caused, when things weren't going well, a lot more stress than it should have. And we had a guy at the site who was a consultant helping to do a leadership development program, and he would kind of shuttle back and forth. And he came over and he said, and he explained this and how this is all working, and it was all news to me. And he said, Greg, all you need to do is pick up the phone and call him and say, this is what I know right now. Don't take it to the bank. I'm still working on it. I'll get back to you. And just give them like periodic updates. And I was just not inclined to do that. And so, I mean, it was a little thing, and it made a huge difference in our relationship and how things worked out for the next couple of years. And again, it was unofficial mentoring advice, but it was one that I took to heart, and I still obviously remember it today. And that's been quite a few years ago.
So I would recommend that you have multiple mentors. And one of the mentors that you have actually is very honest, but also doesn't sugarcoat their recommendations or their comments. So when you go to ask them, how did I do? They don't tell you, oh, you did great, and end it, right? They tell you what you did well and what you didn't do well. And then they ask you, how do you think you can fix this or change this or improve it? That's a great mentor. You will always have good mentors, and making sure that you find mentors that you, I guess, you get along with, or you are comfortable talking to, so that you can really talk to them, but then also have the other mentor where you're opposite of them, so that they can give you more, I guess, I don't want to say critical feedback, but honest feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm watching the clock run out, so we'll thank you to our panelists for sharing all of your insight. Thank you to the audience for being so engaged. Next up is the one and only Christine Gellis.